So everyone needs to stop worrying about the college football rankings, especially at this point when it is so early in the season for us to make any jurisdictions towards any particular team. The college football rankings exist solely for entertainment purposes and to at least decipher who the top teams are in the nation. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty stuff between, oh, if this team is 2 and this team is 3, then that clearly means that team 2 is way better than team 3. Because it's a lot more interesting when you have a number 8 Alabama versus a number 12 LSU than saying Alabama versus LSU or having a Oregon versus Washington. It's a lot more fun when those rankings are involved and people actually understand how good these teams are going to the season without actually looking at their records. That is what the AP poll is for. The reason why it was created in the first place is because of a three-way tie for first place, essentially, in the 1930s. And it has literally been carried throughout that tradition, where we have the Associated Press, which is genuinely just a bunch of journalists who come together and vote on who they think the top teams are. It's ridiculous. No one should be abiding to it this religiously. I'm here to debunk the theory that we need to be looking at the college football rankings each and every single week because in the grand scheme of things, they don't even matter. I'm going to go through this list and it's going to be an outlandish list. You're going to ask me, why would you put that team there? Why would you put this team here? Whatever. But the thing is that when the AP poll comes out, it's going to be very similar. And this is exactly the reason why I'm doing this video and why I'm going to keep on doing these videos for the rest of the season, because these polls do not matter at all. Nobody knows who the best team is, especially when you take into consideration strength of schedule and obviously the amount of points that you score and how you score those points and what a quality loss versus a quality win means. It doesn't matter. The sport of college football has become so complex that nobody knows what a good team is and nobody knows what a bad team is anymore. But these big production companies do know what gets them a lot of money, and that's with teams with funky little numbers by them. So let's get into it. Obviously, some notable games were the Texas-Ohio State game. Ohio State won the game 14-7. A defensive battle. Arch Manning could not get anything started for Texas. Penn State clobbered their opponent. Absolutely ridiculous score. Clemson, very, very close game with LSU, but they end up losing it. Georgia, huge win over Marshall. Obviously, Notre Dame and Miami got after it. Miami taking the dub at home at Hard Rock Stadium. Oregon, great win over one of the best FCS schools in the nation in Montana State at home. Alabama, very disappointing this week against a Florida State team, but they're at home, so maybe that could be the difference. And again, this is part of the reason why these polls don't matter. Florida State looked like a really good team, arguably a top 15 team in the nation, but yet they weren't ranked. I wonder why. It's because nobody was looking at Florida State last year, whereas everyone was looking at Alabama last year because they look at Alabama every single year. Right? Kansas State, obviously 1-1. These are rankings from before week 0, before their loss against Iowa State, and then a very close game against North Dakota. Again, Kansas State should not have been in the rankings to begin with, yet they were here. Like, just to really prove how much these do not matter. But again, this bottom half, very similar. You'll see in what I think the rankings will be coming up that they all kind of move together, essentially. So here is your updated top 15, essentially. And this isn't based off of my opinion. This isn't who I think the best teams are. This is who I think the AP poll are going to put 1 to 15, right? Ohio State, obviously, you beat the number 1 team in the nation. They're going to jump Penn State, even though they scored 60 points in a game. They're going to jump Penn State, number 1 team in the nation, right? Then obviously Penn State, can't move them. Georgia, again, a really good team. You need an SEC team in the top 5. That's how this all works. And then following them, LSU and Texas. It is crazy to me that it is week 2. And in my eyes, I genuinely think the AP poll is going to do some diabolical stuff like this and have Clemson and Texas, who are 2 one-loss teams already, in the top 10, which is crazy. Like, to think that teams below 500 are making the top. I know it's only one weekend, but like, come on, you lose a game, at least drop to the bottom half of the rankings. And the other thing is just scheduling. Like, you look at the schedule for Texas, they definitely have one of the toughest schedules in the nation. But the thing is that it looks a lot tougher for Texas if they have a top 10 number beside their name rather than if they're just unranked. At that point, it just doesn't look as good. It's not going to sell as many views. Whereas if they do have that better number up there, then all they can do is hope and pray that they win. And if they do win, they will give them the extra bump up. But when they lose in situations like this, instead of dropping 14 spots like they should, because that was a horrendous game from them over the weekend, I think they're only going to drop 4 spots to the number 5. Again, Clemson, Dabo Swinney, like they love keeping this Clemson team. But the thing is that this Clemson team in recent years, since 2017, I believe the stat is that at home they were 49-2, and then the last 4 games they're 1-3. Like, this is a completely different Clemson team. This isn't the same Clemson team that was competing with Alabama for all those national championships with Trevor Lawrence and guys like Deshaun Watson. This is completely different. And then obviously you've got Arizona State, Illinois, Michigan. Again, all these teams that just kind of naturally move up in the rankings just because of all these teams that are coming down losing. One of those or two of those teams coming down are obviously Notre Dame and Alabama. Because it's Alabama, you can't knock them too far, even though they got absolutely obliterated by Florida State. And I mean, there were probably no good things that came out of Alabama's game at all against Florida State. They're going to find themselves in the top 15. And again, you're probably looking at this and going, what is this guy talking about? This is a terrible rankings. And you're right, it is a terrible rankings. But when the rankings do come out, and I swear, if it is similar to this, that is the issue that I'm talking about, and that these rankings do not matter. I will keep on emphasizing it, that these rankings do not matter, okay? Let's try and keep as many SEC teams. That's the name and game. Name and game for AP poll is let's keep as many SEC teams in as possible. And you're going to see that. Indiana, who's unfortunately probably going to stay where they are. Iowa State is probably going to jump them because of that ranked win against Kansas State, who, again, shouldn't have been ranked. Again, they're definitely going to be dropping out of the rankings because, again, not only did they lose to Iowa State in what was one of the worst openers to the college football season, but then go like band for band with a North Dakota team that I can't even name a single player for. It's just not looking good. Tennessee, SEC team, they're going to jump from 24 all the way up to like 21 because somehow like that win against Syracuse is like deems that kind of response. It just does. It literally just does. And you will see it happen. I promise you. And then the 2 new schools that we're introducing here are going to be Florida State because they beat Alabama. That is literally like, if you beat Alabama, you're probably going to be in the rankings the next week. Let's be real. And then BYU as well. BYU were the number 1 team that did. They're basically like team 26. They got the most amount of votes that didn't make the rankings. They literally put up 60 points over the weekend. Again, was it against a no-name school? Yes, but that's what they're supposed to do, right? So, AP poll is going to look at that and go, okay. Obviously, other teams that will probably be receiving votes are schools like Utah, USC, UNLV. Again, just one of those things that you cannot predetermine these things before the season starts. Yet, so many of you out there are continue criticizing, oh, like this team should be this number, this team should this. At the end of the day, genuinely, at the end of the day, it does not matter. And now the other question is, okay, what's the solution to it? Honestly, I don't know. I'm not here to give us solutions. I'm just here to point out the problems. If you've got a solution to it, put it in the comment section. All right. I think that it'd be kind of cool if we had if we did like every team actually played everyone inside of their conference, and then the playoffs was just the best team from every conference plays one another. Like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if that's, but it's an idea at least. And I think that something needs to be done, obviously. I don't know what it is specifically, but something needs to be done, right? Because again, these rankings, guys, I promise you, these rankings do not matter. And again, if you're watching this video and you're looking at these rankings and going, oh my God, this guy is actually like, he's off his rocker right now. You're right. I definitely, I made this and I'm like, geez, man, this is bad. But when that AP poll comes out, and it's anywhere near this, guys, it's over. It's wrapped up. The argument is settled. But I'm going to keep coming back. Every week, I'm going to keep coming back. And I'm going to keep making these outlandish polls. And until I'm proven wrong, and this even goes into the college football playoff poll, because the playoff poll is also loosely based off of the AP poll. Loosely, to start off with. Don't get me wrong. After that, they don't care what the AP poll has to say. But the AP poll definitely, is the foundation for what the college football playoff poll is when they first start out. And you're going to see that. And I'm here to prove that point. This whole argument about like what's a quality win and what's a quality loss, it's just so dumb. And I feel like this is exactly the like scenario as to why that argument doesn't work. Because now like that Ohio State win was not quality at all. Not quality at all. The defense was played great. Don't get me wrong. But those offenses had so many chances. Texas had so many chances to score. But the defense just capitalized on a few bad situations. That was really it. And the thing is that does that count as a quality win? I don't know. I don't really think so. But obviously everyone is entitled to their own point of view. But the other thing is, oh, well, they beat a number one team and they're already the 3 seed. So, we kind of have to make them the 1 seed. It's almost like they wanted them to be 1-3 to start off the season. Again, it's all for views. It's all for entertainment. I promise you. And we're going to go through the season, and I'm going to continually prove that point. Right? I would not be shocked if we saw a reality that was closer to this. If I'm being honest, I would not be shocked if we genuinely saw something like this from the AP poll, because like this is just the things that they do. Having LSU be the number 3 team in the country after, again, it was a good win in the Battle of Death Valley, right? Obviously, we know LSU is the real Death Valley now. And I think, again, they're being overvalued, especially at the beginning of the season. And not to mention that they play in a dog water ACC conference, right? But now the fact that Florida State obviously got a good win against Clemson, right? If Florida State is ranked and they continue to win games, which again, in a conference that is just abysmal, you know that that's going to be a high rated matchup and that they're going to sell a lot of views in order to get that matchup going, right? But a team that I really want to focus on when it comes to how terrible their schedule is Notre Dame. And I mean, this is obvious because they're obviously an independent, which needs to be changed. When they're an ACC school, it worked. I don't get why we reverse that. It makes no sense to me. But looking at the schedule, they desperately needed to win this game against Miami, because now it's just they're like this argument of quality wins is so against Notre Dame, and they might genuinely finish the season with 1 loss, maybe 2 losses the entire year. But the thing is that they might be outside of the top 10 the entire season because none of those wins that they get are going to be quality. I mean, again, we're looking at home against Texas A&M. I think that they can handle that, especially coming off of the loss against Miami. It's enough momentum in order for you to win that game. And then Purdue at home. Arkansas on the road could be a bit of a challenge, but again, don't really know how good Arkansas is this year yet. Boise State just got absolutely bounced by South Florida, and Notre Dame are at home. Same thing with NC State, and same thing, like they have a 3-game homestand, and it ends with USC, which is arguably like one of their biggest rivalries. They've probably got that in the bag just because they have home field advantage. And again, that's to say that USC is a hard team to play this year. Yeah, they played great against Missouri State. Does that mean they're a quality top tier team? No, probably not. They'll receive a couple of votes. They won't make the top 25. This whole argument of, oh, well, it's quality win, it's quality loss. If you're a Notre Dame fan, I'm sorry to say, bro, but because of that one game, your season's kind of cooked. Will you make the college football playoff? Yeah, probably, just because there are 12 teams allowed. But it's going to be like a grind in order for you to make it. Because when this AP poll comes out this week, I think that you guys are at 12 right now. And like that is like very much cusp. And if you as much as lose one more game, it's over. And those games could either be at Arkansas or USC. At Arkansas, the only reason why it's a problem is because it's an away game, right? And obviously, as we saw, you guys struggle on the road. Yes, it was wet and the conditions weren't all that great, but the thing is that you guys climbed back and still lost the game. That is just kind of embarrassing. This is going to be a weekly thing, so make sure to tune back next week, subscribe, like, turn on the bell for notifications so that you obviously get the reminder that I am uploading about this kind of stuff. It should be a fun year for college football. I'm definitely looking forward to it, but again, I am just trying to preach the message that these rankings don't matter in the slightest, and they never will matter, because again, we will never know what makes a good team good. We will never know what makes a bad team bad. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. We don't even have full-fledged experts making these rankings for the first half of the season. So really goes to show where our priorities are at, because I promise you they are better spent elsewhere.